It is 5 o'clock, February 10th, 2026, and this is our regular scheduled board meeting. Welcome, everyone. First item's roll call. Ms. Barnes.
President Kaminsky.
Here.
Vice President Kelly.
Here.
Clerk Wood. Here. Trustee Cooper. Absent. Trustee Christensen.
Here.
Trustee Napier. Absent. Trustee Sweeney. Absent. Superintendent Bell.
Present.
And I'm Deanna Barnes.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Next item, flag salute and moment of silent reflection. Tonight we're led by JMS Principal David Adamson. Mr. Adamson.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Adamson. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Kelly, I make the motion.
Second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Christensen. The board approved the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Recognition of Capturing Kids' Hearts student greeters. Superintendent Bell.
All right, thank you, President Kaminsky. So tonight on Capturing Hearts Greeters, I'd like to extend my gratitude to our Capturing Hearts Kids Greeters from Jacobson Middle School, as well as their principal, Mr. Adamson, for selecting and encouraging these outstanding students. Our February focus is Spark the Heart, Be Friendly, and Compassionate. This month, we're challenging our students to be kind to others, even when it is hard. We are partnering with parents to help your child grow in kindness. Most children learn new behaviors by coping with those around them. We have a powerful opportunity and responsibility to teach kindness by others and by example. This month, model kindness and empower your children to show compassion to those that are around them. So I want to appreciate this month's Capturing Kids' Hearts, Be Friendly and Compassionate. I'm going to invite all three of them up front and we'll take a photo with them.
Moving on to general function. First item, superintendent update. Again, Superintendent Bell.
All right, thank you, President Kaminsky. So on my superintendent update for February the 10th, I'd like to once again thank the Capturing Kids' Hearts Greeters from Jacobson Middle School here. We're going to start off with our enrollment, looking at the week, the 23rd week of the month. We've got right column is the 23rd week of this school year. The middle column is the 23rd week of last school year. And then the first column happens to be the overall numbers from the end of the year. You'll notice that there's a slight decrease in overall enrollment. I think it's really important to note that we had a total of 16 graduates from THS at the spring semester and 10 from Monroe, which puts 26 students that left our system. And that 26 students took us just below that 4,100 marker in our overall enrollment. But on a congratulatory note, I want to congratulate all 26 of those students for meeting the requirements and graduating from high school. So kudos to all of them and to the staff at THS in Monroe. So really appreciate the hard work there. On the overall cumulative attendance, you'll notice that our green line is still above the prior 2 years, which are blue and orange. So we'll continue to track, even though we're a little bit lower than the 95%. Overall, we're still looking pretty good for cumulative attendance as we get through the school year. With respect to our current attendance, in the left-hand side, this is a 30-day rolling average. Second month that we've had a little struggle with attendance. You'll notice that it says that we had a 0.2% increase over the previous 30 days. I would still consider that flat. And of course, our goal being 95%. And then on the right-hand side, on our year-to-date attendance, we ended the year-to-date attendance at 92.75. This is down by 0.26%. from the last board meeting in January. So we were just slightly lower with that January month. With our overall attendance winners, there we go. With our overall attendance winners, CV took the January attendance awards, and I wanted to highlight, first of all, everybody in yellow is the ones that will win lunch for students and staff, and anybody else listed will get the treats at their campus. But I wanted to recognize Cummings Valley as an entire group. Their overall percent was 95.05%, which is obviously our district goal. That also aligns with the county average, which is at 95% for the 42 districts in the county. So kudos to the team at Cummings Valley. And then overall, just a kudos to all of our sites. Every single one of our sites had an increase this particular month. So really appreciate overall attendance growth at all of our sites. Our bulletin boards, as you see them back there blinking. So Tompkin Elementary chooses kindness because it creates a safe, inclusive environment where students feel valued and ready to learn. When kindness is modeled and taught, students are engaged, make better choices, and the entire school community thrives. And so I wanted to thank Principal Ray and the team for the actual bulletin boards themselves and the festive Valentine's decoration. So thank you very much for that. With respect to upcoming events, we've got the upcoming President's Day holiday, which will take place Friday and Monday of this particular week, Friday of this week and Monday of next week. On Tuesday, we've got a snow makeup day, so no students and no staff pending any kind of snow day in the next couple of days here. And then we do have at Tompkins, we've got a 4th grade Go West performance. We've got a couple of snow makeup days in March there, and then, of course, our March 10th board meeting for our upcoming dates. And that is all I have for you tonight, sir.
Thank you, Superintendent Bell. Next item, TAT update. Ms. Bowman.
Good evening, President Kaminsky, members of the school board, Superintendent Bell, and members of the public. My name is Val Bowman, and I'm the president of the Tehachapi Association of Teachers. There is a lot going on, but when isn't there a lot going on, right? The perfect spring-like weather made January feel less like there were 131 days in January. And it's hard to believe that June is so far off. And I wrote this before this weather rolled in. I said, I bet we're not out of the weather woods yet. And we surely are not, are we? Because we know how Tehachapi works. I was wearing shorts a couple days ago. The long holiday weekend is before us, and it is the last respite until Easter. State testing begins next week, next Friday at JMS with the LPAC. And then it's the CAST, and then it's the CASP. And then there's assessments, and then there's more testing. and it's a trying time for students and staff who support them. As TAT has previously discussed, all school sites need parent support. Students have to attend school. This means arriving on time and staying for the entire day. If a student is not legitimately ill or has a legitimately approved reason for being out, attending school is their job, and it is an important job that leads to future successes. Now, I have 4 sons, and all 4 of my sons attended Tehachapi schools, kindergarten through the 12th grade. And there were times when they wanted to stay home. They were like, "Oh, I'm so sick," and they were not. Or I don't want to go to school today. Unless our boys were legitimately sick, they went to school. If they had a medical appointment and we could get back in time, they went to school. I can count on one hand how many times my kids missed school for invalid reasons. If there's a nice snow day in Mammoth, we might be gone for the day, but that didn't happen very often. So no matter the societal viewpoint about school, education is important and it's necessary for future successes. The last regular school board meeting lasted longer than necessary. The extension was not caused by the public comments, but rather by the unnecessary and disparaging comments made towards the former TUSD superintendent, Stacy Everson Larson, Stacy Larson Everson, I never get that right. She led this district through difficult times, brought us into the modern age in regards to technology and training. She helped build trust between the unions and the district, was not afraid to meet with employees and parents. She understood the importance of support and cooperation. And simply by listening, many situations were resolved before they became great big issues. Superintendent Larson put in the time and went beyond normal business hours to get the job done. She strove to balance an impossible job, one in which perfection is expected but is impossible to attain. A board that intentionally disparages their employees in public will split the district. It would be wise to remember there is not one person, whether on a board or working in a district, who pleases all the people all of the time. Holding any type of public office or position is like fighting in the Coliseum. The winners get cheers and the unlucky get boos or they get tears. But this is Thunderdome. Welcome to Thunderdome. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. CSEA update?
Good evening, President Kaminsky, board members, and Superintendent Bell. My name is Frankie Pointer, and I am the CSA Treasurer. I will be giving the CSA report tonight. The reduction of force proposal was approved last Thursday. As a result, CSA is now required to bargain the effects of these reductions. This process includes determining whether the work associated with the eliminated positions will continue. If the work is expected to continue, it must be determined who will perform this work. This work cannot be reassigned to remaining employees without proper bargaining. Administrators and volunteers are not permitted to perform this work. And contracting out this work is also not allowed. CSA is committed to making this process fair, transparent, and ensuring that no work is reassigned, absorbed, or contracted out in violation of negotiated agreements or classified employees' rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Board communications. Any board member wish to make any comments?
I did want to share that.
Vice President Kelly.
Thank you. That the unified basketball game was this evening. I know a few of you in the audience were there, and it was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. I know we also have our last girls basketball game, last girls soccer game tonight. The boys were last week. So if you wanted to see those sports, that time is gone. We had a sipping with the soup, which I didn't attend, but I hear it was well attended. And just know that spring sports are right around the corner, so get out and let's go Tehachapi. Thank you.
I was at the games
Clerk Wood.
also, and it was great. It was just a lot of fun. Not only the players, the band, the cheerleaders. It was awesome. So next year, put it on your calendar.
Thank you. I attended, so I do have to correct Vice President Kelly. The last boys' game was actually last night. It was rescheduled because the previous one against North was canceled due to the freeway closure, I think. And I had to see a student perform his last basketball game as a Warrior, and that would be Thaddeus Dyer. Thaddeus and his mom, I worked with his mom is obviously, as most of you, if not all of you know, the counselor at JMS, and I've known Thaddeus since he was about knee-high to a grasshopper, as Trustee Cooper would say, and now he's about 6'4" or taller. Anyway, the boys played hard. It was a close game throughout till the very end, and unfortunately they lost, but still a very good game. They played extremely hard, and I was glad I could make it. And hopefully they have a home playoff game, either boys or girls. We don't know. But. And let the Trustee Sweeney arrived at 5:16. Okay. Next item is public comments. The district welcomes comments from the public at appropriate times during the meeting. The public may address the board concerning items on the agenda as those items are taken up prior to board discussion and deliberation. The public may also address the board on items not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the board at the time designated. The board requests each speaker must fill out a speaker form at the beginning of the meeting stating the speaker's name, the subject to be addressed, and provide the form to the secretary of the board. Please wait to be recognized by the board president. Comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to individual members or district employees or to anyone in the audience. Unless otherwise determined by the board, individual speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item, and the board will limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Board Bylaw 9323. The board understands that the First Amendment provides strong protection for speech. However, the board expects that all speech and expression will comport with the norms of civil behavior on district grounds, in district facilities, during district activities or events, and the use of district electronic digital systems and platforms. Civil behavior is polite, courteous, and reasonable behavior, which is respectful to others and includes integrity, honesty, acceptance, timeliness, dependability, observance of laws and rules, and effective communication from Board Policy 1313. And tonight we have a public comment by the Chief of Police for Tehachapi in Tehachapi. And we work closely, Superintendent Bell especially works closely with Chief Richard Standridge. Chief.
Thank you, President, Superintendent, and Board. It's a pleasure to come here tonight. Just wanted to, again, reiterate how great that basketball game was tonight. I appreciate the board support and the school district support. Those kids had a blast, and it seems to be getting better every year. And in the last 2 years, I've made a donation on behalf of the Standridge family because I'm also a parent of a special needs child, so I understand the need for resources, and districts are limited. I get that. And so tonight, our police foundation also matched my donation, so hopefully next year we can continue to work together to increase that for the betterment of the program. What I really wanted to come here tonight and talk about is just check in, like I said I would at the beginning of the year, but as a district and a department and as a community, we've had a couple of critical incidents this year that have occurred on the campus that have, caused some alarm and some concern. And so what I really wanted to come here tonight and talk about is how Superintendent Bell and I and the principals here have worked hand in hand, our school resource officer, my command staff, in ensuring safety on the campuses. Contrary to what people may say on their keyboards at home or what they may feel, public safety is paramount here in the city. That's why we have one of the lowest crime rates in the state and Kern County. And we continue to strive towards that every day through staffing, technology, collaboration, and communication with our partners. And, just like Superintendent Bell and I have talked, if there was ever such a threat that we were that concerned for the school safety, we would recommend shutting it down and just leaving the kids at home. We would do that. And so I want to, again, assure everybody that their child safety is paramount to us and to the entire city staff of Tehachapi. As a parent, I totally get where folks are coming from. So, but anyway, other than that, the relationship continues to grow and get better. And hopefully as we continue to get training and different things, and not only our department and staffing and working with the district, we can start to expand. And we will be hosting a bicycle rodeo. And we're still working out the date, March or April, weather kind of dictating, but we're going to put it on in coordination with Tehachapi Parks and Rec. And it's going to be centered on e-bike safety, and working with the kids as they're riding to and from school, and helping to curb some of the issues with that going on in our community. So a lot of good things going on together, and I think we'll just continue to move forward for the benefit of the children in the district. So that's all I got to say. And as always, if any questions or any specific item I need to come and appear before the board, I'm more than happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. Ms. Bowman.
Oh, that guy's very tall, huh? All right, here we go. All right, so I'm Val Bowman, and I am speaking on behalf of Jessica Smith, who is our VP of Elementary. She couldn't be here tonight. So last board meeting, she spoke about the 26-27 school calendar. This is really her jam, so you're just going to have to bear with me as I talk about it. So I'm here to talk about the brief update and a request for direction moving forward. First, TAT wants to thank the district and the calendar committee for addressing the concern regarding report card and parent report dates. We appreciate that those dates have now been aligned across school sites. That was an important issue, and TAT is grateful for the collaboration in resolving the issue. At the last meeting, TAT also brought forth another concern, the placement of a non-student day immediately following winter break. After reviewing the contract language carefully, it states that there shall be 2 non-instructional days and 2 professional development days, and that the professional development days must be consecutive. However, the language does not clearly define how the 2 non-instructional days are to be used. It does not explicitly state that they are at teacher discretion, though that is how many educators reasonably interpret the language. At the same time, it also does not state that those days are to be directed by the district. Because of that lack of clarity, what we are currently seeing in practice is that the district is effectively directing 3 of the 4 non-student days, 1 at the beginning of the school year and 2 consecutive professional development days, leaving teachers with only 1 day that is truly classroom focused. This appears to be more of a language clarity issue than a rather than a disagreement. The language simply needs to be cleaned up so that the intent of the 2 non-instructional days and 2 professional development days is honored and clearly defined. TAT believes this can be resolved in one of 2 ways, through bargaining to clarify the language, or through an MOU if both parties are amenable. Our concern tonight is procedural. If the calendar is approved without direction for continued conversation, there is a fear that this issue will be considered settled for the 26-27 school year. TAT would very much like the opportunity to continue discussions, and if an agreement is reached, amend and reapprove the calendar accordingly. So we respectfully urge the board, if approving the calendar tonight, to do so with direction to the district to continue conversations with TAT regarding clarification of the contract language and potential adjustment of the calendar. This is about clarity, fairness, and ensuring that both district-directed professional development and teacher preparation time are appropriately balanced. Thank you for your time and consideration. With 10 seconds left to spare.
That's why you're Val Bowman. Thank you, Val. Next item is consent agenda. In order to promote efficient meetings, the board may bundle a number of items and act upon them together by a single vote through the use of a consent agenda. Consent items shall be items of a routine nature and items for which board discussion is not anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. When any board member requests the removal of an item from the consent agenda, the item shall be removed and given individual consideration for action as a regular agenda item. Are there any trustees that wish to remove any of the consent agenda items for separate consideration? Seeing none. Do I have a motion for the board to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Kelly, make the motion.
Second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly and seconded by Trustee Christensen. The board approved the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Under discussion information items, the first item is discussion and possible action on correspondence to Senator Grove and this should be Assemblyman Ellis on the TUSD LCFF concentration grant. As I mentioned, I believe at the January regular meeting, we were talking about the budgets, and I did the presentation on our LCFF funds, and I think most people would agree the huge discrepancy between districts smaller than us and Tehachapi Unified in Kern County. And I propose that a letter be written to our elected representatives, Senator Shannon Grove and Assemblyman Stan Ellis. And I worked on one. I shared it with Vice President Kelly and Clerk Wood. Clerk Wood had a good suggestion on editing. I made a second version, and both trustees told me that was fine. But we have two trustees here tonight that haven't heard it, so I'm going to be reading it, just not only for them, but of course for the audience and for the record. Ms. Barnes typed these up and sent the same letter, but one to each of the representatives. We are the governing board of the Tehachapi Unified School District. We are writing to you so you can be aware of our complaint with the State of California's Local Control Funding Formula, LCFF. It is our hope you will set the wheels of change in motion. As with many school districts in your jurisdiction and in the entire state, TUSD has run out of elementary and secondary school emergency relief, ESSER, funds and is faced with budget cuts in the millions of dollars. There are 8 unified school districts in Kern County. Here they are in order from smallest to largest. Next to that is a table of their total revenue. All data is from the latest available fiscal year 2023-2024. And it shows us, I'm not going to read all the numbers, we have the second largest in average daily attendance, but we have only the 5th largest revenue of those 8 districts. You may be asking yourselves why TUSD has the second largest ADA, but the 5th largest revenue. Southern Kern and McFarland have more revenue than TUSD despite having smaller ADA, and Mojave nearly has the lowest revenue per ADA of the 8 districts. Further investigation to state funding revealed the main reason why these differences exist. Part of the LCFF formula is the concentration grant. Districts receive an extra 50% to 65% if their enrollment has 55% or more high-need students, low-income, English learners, foster youth, homeless. If a district doesn't meet that 55% threshold, it gets 0 in concentration grant money. Then I show the district's concentration grant money and the revenue per ADA. What makes this extremely unfair to TUSD is that our concentration grant percentage is 44%, giving us no grant, but we are expected to service these 44% with extra services to meet their varied needs. We see this as an unfunded mandate from the state of California. We are sure you see the unfairness of this to the students of TUSD. We are not asking to have the same revenues as some of these districts, just what is fair. To be specific, the LCFF's concentration grant should be on some sort of sliding scale. Our thought was to first bring this attention to you, our local state representatives. If we need to bring this to others' attention, please point us to the correct people. If you wish to meet in person with three of us, Superintendent Brian Bell and Chief Administrator of Business Services Hojat Intizari, please call Superintendent Bell's office. We appreciate your time. So, comments from the trustees? No.
Hang on, man. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get this to them sooner than later. So I'm going to propose that the four of us vote on it tonight, and five of us. Five of us sign it tonight, and when trustees Napier and Cooper can, come by the district office to sign it, and then we'll send it out in the mail. Is there any public comment? Mr. Intizari.
Sorry, not to be a stickler, just for not clarification, but so that sentence right below the chart, what makes this extremely unfair to TUSD is the fact that and it says concentration grant percentage is 44%. The percentages are unduplicated pupils percentage that qualifies you for the concentration grant. So that 44% is the unduplicated pupil percentage, not concentration grant.
If we just remove the word grant, would that clear it
If
up?
you change concentration grant to unduplicated pupil percentage, then that would be accurate.
With all due respect to our elected representatives, I don't know if they would understand the meaning of that.
Well, I mean, it's correct. So this would be, that's fine.
Any comments from the board whether to move forward with that?
We could do unfunded concentrated grant percentage. Because I get his point. His point is,
Right.
how can we have a yeah? But yeah, the unduplicated, which we get, I'm not so sure that the assemblyman or the senator would have that in the top of their list of vocabulary terms. But I'm okay with it the way it is as well.
Okay. So do I have a motion? Oops. Do I have a motion to approve the correspondence to Senator Grove and Assemblyman Ellis?
I move.
I'll second.
It was moved by Trustee Christensen and seconded by having a brain freeze.
Trustee Sweeney.
Trustee Sweeney. I was going to call her Trustee Cassandra, and that wouldn't work. The board approved the correspondence to Senator Grove and Assemblyman Ellis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So before leaving tonight, if you could, the five of us here, sign this. Second item on this category is mobile communication device presentation. Ms. Paxton.
President Kaminsky asked me to share this presentation with you because the next item on the agenda is a proposal of a new board policy that we are required to implement prior to July 1st regarding cell phones. And I know we've had lots of discussions around cell phone policies. And so, what I did earlier in this year is I put together a Google form and sent it out to staff members. So, it consisted of teachers and administrators, high school students, and then also parents. And those are the number of responses that we got in each category, which actually was a pretty good return. So, about a quarter of our high school students participated, and they were evenly represented again, with ninth grade was 25%, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And also from past surveys, 438 responses was pretty good for parents. So one of the questions on the survey asked students basically, how do they use their cell phones when on campus? And basically, they said that the majority of students, around 90%, use them before class or during passing periods. 27% that said that they use them during class, and this is with or without permission. These are students that are going to use it no matter what, under their desk, and so forth. 74% said that they use it for schoolwork. 47% said they use it for entertainment purposes like watching videos, gaming, social media, and so forth. 84% said that having a cell phone available to them is a valuable tool that helps them to learn. And 82% said that if phones were prohibited in class, they'd worry about not being able to communicate with their family. And for parent responses, 35% are very concerned about the impact of phones, and 25% said they're not worried at all. And so then there's, everybody in between. 80% of parents do support phone restrictions for students while they are at school. So I thought that was a very positive indicator. The majority of parents feel that our current policy with phones off and away was adequate, and 27% felt that a more restrictive policy is needed. But the majority of parents expressed that they do want to be notified if their students are not following the expectations with phone use. So to me, it seemed like the parents were pretty supportive of whatever we are going to implement. So staff were asked about what kind of things are going on around the cell phone use, and they can check more than one response. So, for example, 71% said that they don't feel like phones are a significant issue in their classroom. However, 40% feel that phones interfere with classroom management, student engagement, and instruction. So people could mark both of those things. And President Kaminsky and I had a discussion about this because they know that it's a problem and that they have to plan for it, right? They have to put structures in place in their classroom to manage that desire to use their phone. 58% of staff felt that a more restrictive policy is needed. And 54% said they would like some kind of structure where students deposit their phones. And however, there were quite a few high school staff members that felt like the current policy of having it off and away was sufficient, and they liked that policy. But people did say that they want the expectation that all of their peers are implementing that policy consistently. Staff members did express that they feel uncomfortable taking the phones of students, and that everybody agreed, this was with parents and students as well as staff, that students should be allowed to use phones when needed for instruction, during unstructured times, or for health reasons like in a health plan or an IEP or 504. So so what we did is we went and we looked at many districts have already adopted board policies around cell phone use, including the use of smart devices as well. And the language in those policies is very similar because CSBA has recommended language. So we looked at those and we kind of highlighted the little kind of nuances of each policy, things that we liked and felt like was important for us to incorporate in our policy. but what we did like is when it's very explicit about when students can access their phone, what is okay and what's not okay, so that everybody's clear, and that it provides guidance to staff members and expectations limitation on staff utilization of personal phones in reference of modeling the policy. And that was something that came up in the survey. Students and parents both expressed that they felt like staff members also shouldn't be able to just use their phone continuously during class. And so that's all I have. All of those things that I reviewed are incorporated into the first read of that board policy tonight.
Board have any questions or comments for Ms. Paxton, or for me, or for Superintendent Bell? We were all there.
I do have a question with looking at everything. I mean, there's a lot of information there, but it is all good because I saw it comes from everybody, the parents, the teachers, and the kids. With all of that, can we derive an actual structured plan that will benefit the kids, that will allow the classroom to be maintained by the teacher, and yet it balances that out where there isn't the distraction? I don't want to run to the bathroom, play on my phone. Mm-hmm. These kind of things, where it's like, okay, well, I got my phone with me. It's off while I'm in class. I'm around the corner. Teacher doesn't see me. And I can turn it on as I'm walking to the bathroom, and I'll take the long way so I can play more on my game. Mm-hmm. I'm channeling my younger self when I would do things. These are the things I would think of doing.
Well, I would say that anybody who has teenagers knows that teenagers always try to develop a workaround, right? And so even if you have a system where students are depositing their phone, they have a second phone, right? Like they have this other phone that they're going to deposit. So I think that there's always going to be that. But I know that the high school and the middle school the last couple of years have really developed strategies and plans to address the phone issue on their campus. And I think both of them have been successful. When you visit either of those campuses, you don't see phones. I mean, it's very it's much better than it was. And some classes you never see a phone. So it depends on what the teacher allows. But I think the important part is that we adopt a board policy and everybody is responsible for implementing that. And if I'm a teacher, and I have been a teacher, especially middle and high school, I'm circulating through that classroom because I know that kids like to pull out their phone and put it under their desk. So I need to be moving around the classroom. And I think that's what teachers expressed in here, is that they do have to plan for that because we know that that is the nature of our students, especially there's lots of research about phone addiction and all of that. So anytime they get the chance, they're going to want to do that.
Piggyback on that, I was at GMS last week for an awards assembly, and the principal in me did spot some gum chewers, so I still have that principal sense. However, I did not see anyone with their phone out, and the entire school was at three different. There was three different assemblies that was attended together by all the students, and even walking from the gym to the front office to leave, kids were walking to class. Nobody that I saw had a phone on.
Yeah, and I mean, I can date myself and say, when I was in high school, it was popular to write letters to your friends, right? And was that allowed in the classroom? No. Did people do it? All the time, right? Like all the time you did that. So, I think it's just we want to do the best we can. And then also there's legislation around, students do have to have access to their phone during certain periods of time. And so if we are removing that access, we have to be really careful about that as well.
And it's my hope that I'm sure the high school especially and the middle school, if they adjust their policies and state the consequences of violations of policies. That they're not only, I think one positive thing is the teachers don't have to confiscate the phone. They call security.
And that is one thing that we did put in this proposed board policy is that we do have to review the expectations with students at the beginning of the year because, you know, students aren't going to review board policy, right? So there's an expectation that it's covered in that first, you know, week of school that so everybody is clear on what the policy and expectations are.
And then whatever the policy is for enforcement is followed through 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Oh, Trustee Sweeney.
Okay. I have a question. So it's on this, when I'm reading this policy, it kind of feels like what we're already doing in our schools. But obviously it's been escalated that it's not working for some of our teachers and parents. So my question is like one of these on here says, when the teacher feels it's acceptable to pull the phone out, kind of undermines the expectation that phones are not to be in the classroom during classroom time. So I don't think it's ideal to have a teacher discretion say it's okay to pull out a phone and then also have policy that says it should not be in a classroom because it creates that opening to where we're at now, whereas some teachers are like, well, that teacher lets them, you know, create that opportunity for inconsistency. So that is something that I would probably look at or make it very detailed language there because it kind of puts us right back to where we currently are in my perspective. And I would agree the teachers shouldn't have to take phones away. As a parent, I would not want my child's phone chilling up there. They're more than my mortgage payment now, and it's kind of ridiculous. So we can't say we're not taking liability if we break a phone by accident.
I would say, though, a lot of teachers do have students use their phone for instructional purposes. And it is a very engaging tactic to get students involved in the lesson. And so I would hate to remove that because I've seen it used so many ways that it does benefit students and the whole class is involved. I think that yes, if you are going to allow students to use a phone, right, because of whatever your lesson is, you know that you have to be extra vigilant during this time and you can't be at your desk. You do need to be moving around. There has to be that expectation. And I think a lot of our staff members do develop positive relationships with their students and there is this trust. And, you know, I was a teacher for 10 years and you know, I need to check on Johnny because, you know, Johnny might kind of go off script, but, you know, over here, I don't need to spend so much time because they're typically on task. So
true. But what happens when we're creating plans that require phones and somebody doesn't have a phone? Like, I don't understand what. I understand engaging. Trust me, my teenagers are always on their phone. But I think this is something that should be a black and white policy. I don't think this is an area that should have gray because it's so ambiguous and it's so open for interpretation and it's a consistent issue. I think there needs to be, until we get to that point where we have a really solid foundation, we should not be opening those doors. Just an opinion, but I think I think it feels like we're going to go right back to exactly where we are now. I don't want my student, granted they're graduated now, but I do not want my student on their phone, regardless of the interactive activity, because I know they'll finish it in 5 minutes and then not pay attention, and it takes away from that value of interacting in the classroom, in my opinion. But I think it kind of leaves some ambiguousness there. But that's all I got.
Well, I'm going to bring up the fact this first came up when I would be attending some IEPs and cell phones were just coming into the school community. And many times in an IEP, we would have the student take a picture of the work so the parent could help at home. And then more regular ed parents were doing the same. That's a good idea. You take a picture of what your homework is for so-and-so's class, and especially when the student has been probably not being entirely truthful. And we know that other students are going to, you know, they'll find the teacher and say, oh, but Mrs. So-and-so, she lets us take our phone, use our phones. And, you know, the experienced teachers are going to know that's just a line and hold their rules. So, yeah, there's ambiguity with just about every rule.
Yeah, I like to always go back to the baseball hats, right? Most schools have a rule where you can't wear baseball hats inside a classroom. And I mean, I think that one is really frequently disregarded by some. And so then you have one teacher that says, like, this is a rule. I'm enforcing this rule. And then it's always like, well, Mr. Bell lets us wear the baseball hats. He wears a baseball hat. And so I think you always are going to have that issue. But our administrators are in classrooms. And so if they see that students are on their phone in an inappropriate way, then it's their job to also address that with the staff member.
Yes, when I was mainly with dress code at JMS, one of the teams had one teacher, and if she was the dress code enforcer, didn't want to be the dress code enforcer, but she followed our policy, and if a kid was caught after lunch, then been wearing something inappropriate the whole morning, she would get very indignant at her colleagues for, why do I have to do this? You know, and so I think there'll be more of a, I would hope, a more collaborative effort to enforce this policy. And it's, you know, basically is, can't you wait? You know, the periods are what, 54 minutes long into high school, 52 minutes. Can't you just wait less than an hour? Because at passing, you can bring that out.
One thing I didn't put in my presentation, but I just wanted to mention, is our elementary staff members really made it a point that they wanted our policy to include all smart devices, because many of their students don't have a phone, but they have a smartwatch, and there have been some problems with that. So it is inclusive of all smart devices.
It's a lot of tablets.
Yes.
President Kaminsky, one other thing on the policy, just out of curiosity, like Sweeney was saying, is that you're going to have one teacher that's going to say, look, we use our phones in our class. And I understand. I mean, you can tell by the gray hair. I was around when Apollo 1 took off. So our phones now are so much faster and so much smarter than the computers that were on that rocket, that, yes, they are phenomenal tools to be used in some classes. In some classes, it's the students' action. It's their artistic or whatever, maybe it's art class or whatever. It's not really needed in that one. But in social studies, finding out, you know, who won what war when, is it written in there, and maybe it might be something to add, would be that at the teacher's discretion, that each teacher makes at the beginning of the year known to their class. I understand that other classes you can use your phones. In here, we will not be using them.
Yeah, I think it does talk about that it is at the teacher's discretion, and it talks about that it's for instructional purposes. So we don't want a staff member to say, oh, you know what, if you guys are well behaved the last 5 minutes of class, you can be on your phone, because we really want teachers to be teaching bell to bell. We feel like we already don't get enough instructional time as it is. So we don't want to be giving time away for kids to be on Instagram or, YouTube. So it does need to be purposeful. And I think that also when administrators are talking to their staff, you need to reinforce that.
Right, and I was even thinking like the syllabus, right, from the individual teacher when they do that syllabus at the beginning of the year, which could be monitored by our site principals on kind of the expectations and the rules of the classroom. Just another opportunity. So, but again, this is a first read tonight, and really appreciate the input. I got notes down as well, so we can kind of just review that.
Anyone else? Vice President Kelly.
So, first of all, I want to commend our secondary schools for actually reinforcing the policies more so this school year. But as a classroom management, it lets the individual teachers know that, yes, they have the right to do what they want with their classroom management, the ones that are good with it, but it also knows that we are now aware and we're involved. We make the final decisions, but they're in charge of how it works. But for those teachers that don't quite have the classroom management skills, they can say, hey, it's board policy. There's nothing I can do. You have no phone. So it helps them develop those classroom management skills slowly, but with reinforcement from us as well. And I think that's invaluable.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Paxton.
You're welcome.
That was again a first read, and we'll be voting on that at our March 10th meeting. Next item is first read of coursework, graphic design, work experience.
One, is there any more communication?
I got you. Yeah, that was a first read of board policy BP 5131.8, mobile communication devices. And now, item 2, first read of coursework, graphic design, work experience. Are there any questions or comments on this? All these are work experience, the next 2 items as well. Item 3, first read of coursework, digital photography work experience.
President Kaminsky, these were also brought forth by the high school staff as it relates to the previous incident where we were dealing with teacher assistants in the classroom. So these work experience classes are part of that transition, if you will. So we still have a little bit more work to do here, but just to get us started.
Very good. Any questions on number 3? The digital photography work experience. Moving on to number 4, first read of coursework, woodshop manufacturing lab assistant work experience. Any questions or comments on that first read? Seeing none, I'll go to number 5. Approval of resolution number 05 FEB26 Summer School 2026. Tehachapi Unified School District wishes to offer a summer school credit recovery program to provide students the opportunity to make up credits for courses they failed. This will ensure students can stay on track for graduation or meet college eligibility requirements. Credit recovery will be offered in addition to extended school year services. Any questions or comments from the board? And that resolution, for the record, states, whereas the district desires to offer a summer school program to provide supplemental instruction to students needing remediation in core academic subjects this coming summer, whereas the scope of the summer school program will depend on student interest and enrollment, which are unknown at this time, whereas the availability of faculty and staff to support a summer school program are also unknown at this time, whereas Board Policy 6177, Summer Learning Programs, authorizes the superintendent or designee with board approval to establish summer school day and or evening classes. And with approval of this, the governing board would hereby authorize the superintendent or designee to establish a summer school program that is consistent with Board Policy 6177 and ensures compliance with prevailing applicable health and safety guidelines to the extent practicable based on student enrollment and sufficient faculty and staff support. It's a roll call vote. Or, I'm sorry, do I have a motion?
Kelly, make the motion.
I'll second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Sweeney, that the board approve the resolution to authorize establishment of a 2026 summer school program. A roll call vote. Ms.
President
Barnes.
Kaminsky,
Aye.
Vice President Kelly,
Aye.
Clerk Wood,
Aye.
Trustee Cooper absent, Trustee Christensen,
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent, Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. Next item is the approval of board policies. The first read was last week at our special meeting. Based on the recommendations from the California School Boards Association, the attached revisions to board policies are submitted by district administration and are presented for final approval. Any questions or comments from a trustee? Do I have a motion to approve the board policies submitted by district administration?
Kelly, make the motion.
I'll second.
As motion by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Sweeney. The board approve the attached board policies as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Approval of agri-science textbook for 30-day public review. We approved the coursework back in the January 20th regular meeting. And it's been recommended the textbook mentioned be approved for a 30-day public review. Any questions or comments from the board? Is there a motion to approve the agri-science textbook for 30-day public review as presented?
Kelly, a second.
As motion by Trustee Christensen, seconded by Vice President Kelly. The board approved the agri-science textbook for 30-day public review as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is approval adoption of grades 9 to 12 mathematics curriculum. We previously approved the 30-day public review on December 16th, 2025, and also has a recommendation by the Citizens Task Force to recommend the approval of this curriculum to the board. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the adoption of grades 9 to 12 mathematics curriculum as presented?
Kelly, make the motion.
I'll second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Sweeney. The board approve adoption of grades 9 to 12 mathematics curriculum. All in favor, it's a roll call vote. Ms. Barnes?
President Kaminsky,
Aye.
Vice President Kelly,
Aye.
Clerk Wood,
Aye.
Trustee Cooper absent, Trustee Christensen,
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent, Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. Next item, approval of the 2026-2027 student attendance calendar. The TUSD Calendar Committee reviewed grade reporting days to ensure TUSD teachers had 3 days to finalize grades after each quarter concluded. And listening to Ms. Bowman's presentation earlier, I am opting, I think it was number 2, that we approve it, and then the district and the Teachers Association can get the wording right. Again, this is, as Ms. Bowman pointed out, there's the language needs to be cleared up. There's no real disagreement on anything. So I think we should go ahead and vote on it tonight, and then let the district and the TAT finalize the wording. And then if need be, they can bring that back to the board for approval of the adjustments. Correct? And as long as it doesn't affect the last day of school for that year, I think we're good.
Yes. We'll continue talks to potentially develop an MOU on that language. So,
are there any trustees that wish to comment on that?
I think I would.
Vice President Kelly.
And I do appreciate TAT coming up here and speaking about their concerns. And once again, I think it is something that can be dealt with in language after the approval and agreement, as long as there aren't any major school holidays that are affected for our families, beginning day, last day. I think everything in the middle can be adjusted as needed, especially since we're 4 months away, 6 months away from the start of the school year. So with that, I will make a motion if comments are done.
I do remember, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Bowman, a couple of years ago, we had a work, professional day canceled because of snow. There was a made-up date, and that was canceled because of snow. So it happens. Right.
I'll second.
All right. Do I have a motion the board approve the attached?
Kelly, I make the motion.
Well, let me finish. I didn't. Board to approve the attached 2026-2027 student attendance calendar as presented.
Kelly will make the motion.
I'll second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly and seconded by Trustee Christensen. The board approved the attached 2026-2027 student attendance calendar as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item, California School Boards Association official 2026 delegate assembly ballot, Region 12-B, Kern County. We have, oops. The cursor's doing a really good job of hiding. There it is. So we have 3 nominees for the CSBA, California School Board Association 2026 Delegate Assembly. Robert Campbell from Sierra Sands, Chris Cruz Boone from Bakersfield City, and Pamela Jacobson from Standard School District, who is the incumbent. And we are allowed, we may vote for 2 candidates, approve 2 candidates, no more, not all 3. And I'm going to nominate Pamela Jacobson from Standard and Chris Cruz Boone from Bakersfield City. My reason being for Ms. Cruz Boone is that I actually met her at a trustee event last school year, and I found her very worthy of that trustee, not just the trustee, but the delegate position as well. And let it be noted, she voted no on the Bakersfield City School District raise, which takes some courage. Anyway, that's my nominations. Does anybody want to make any other nominations?
I can support those nominations.
Anyone else want to comment? Seeing no other comments, do I have a motion to approve the nominees for the CSBA 2026 Delegate Assembly, Chris Cruz Boone and Pamela Jacobson?
Kelly, make the motion.
I'll second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Christensen, that the board approve the nominees for the CSBA 2026 Delegate Assembly as presented. Roll call vote, Ms. Barnes.
President Kaminsky.
Aye.
Vice President Kelly.
Aye.
Clerk Wood.
Aye.
Trustee Cooper absent. Trustee Christensen.
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent. Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. Number 11, acceptance of audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Mr. Intezari.
Thank you, President Kaminsky. Could you open the audit report attachment and go to the page report 76? Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. So we're here to discuss the audited financial statements for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The last time we page that's just the, is that the full report? 76. Okay. So This we presented the unaudited actuals, which is the fancy way of saying once we finally close the books, what actually happened. We normally present on budget, so when we presented how we actually closed the books, you have an independent auditor come and review and then provide an opinion. And so there we go. Okay. And so what is the purpose of the audit, right? So the purpose is to hire an independent auditor, a CPA firm, to issue an opinion on the fairness of the financial statements, right? Obviously, an audit is required by education code, but there's a lot of people interested in our independent auditor report, right? Obviously, CDE is interested in how a unified school district is doing from a fiscal perspective. The state controller's office interested in knowing how any government agency in California is doing. Education Audit Appeals Panel, which is who determines the compliance, the state compliance aspect for California programs. And then you have the Federal Office of Management and Budget, because this is a single audit because it does include an audit of federal awards. So this is presented to you in order for you to carry out your fiduciary responsibility, right? So the audit process starts with just it's a risk-based approach. So they meet with management, they review prior audits, they'll meet with a board member. I don't recall who it was because it was a while ago, but in order to understand what is kind of the landscape, what is the risk, then they develop an audit plan, and then they test our internal controls, right? Just if we're saying that this person collects cash, this person counts the cash, this person's reconciles the bank statement, this person reviews the bank reconciliation, is that happening, right? So they perform, what's called substantive work, right? When they start really looking at everything, confirming confirmation of our banking relationships, reviewing just how we recognize revenue, making sure that it's reasonable, testing for any significant account balances or any significant transactions. They're looking for words like adjustment, correction, anything that just stands out, large items. And then sometimes they'll throw in some small items just to make sure that everything is kind of on the up and up. So we're happy to report that from the financial statement, for all perspectives, we receive what's called an unmodified opinion. This means that any informed financial statement reader can rely on the financial statements that we push out to you and the public. So they provide what's called a reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance, right? Because they don't test every single transaction, but it is over 100 hours plus of cumulative effort from the business department and a lot of our other programs. We're proud to report that. So on page 76, this is essentially a summary of auditor results. So any school district audit report, you just go to this page, and this is what I commonly refer to you to look at as the report card. And it just lets you know that from a financial statements, we received an unmodified opinion, right? No need to modify it, change it, qualify it, say except for this, right? It's completely unmodified. The highest level of assurance we can receive, no material weaknesses identified, no significant deficiencies to report, no issues of non-compliance that are material to the financial statement, right? That would make a difference to someone that's reading this. From a federal awards perspective, again, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies reported, received an unmodified report on both the financial and the compliance side of the federal awards that were tested. Specifically, you'll see the special education cluster, right? For a while there, when we were receiving the ESSER funds, that was dominating the federal side of all the testing. From state awards, same thing, no material weaknesses, and we received an unmodified opinion. So we are happy to report that this year there were no findings. That is a first since I've been here. Last year we did receive a very tiny one that just had to do with normally post the what is it called, the notice of a public hearing on a second week, and that just happened to fall right outside the required 80 days, but that was last year, and they have found that to have been implemented. So last year's tiny issue resolved, not a repeat issue. This year, no issues identified, so we're very happy to report this, and that's all I have to present on our audit report. Are there any questions or anything?
I have a question that's not very important. I read the letter, and Christie White Incorporated was the audit firm. Is that just one person?
So yes, so full disclosure, I used to work there, and yes, Christy White is a person. She was a partner at a larger firm and then started her own thing. But yes, it's one person based in San Diego, but the firm has expanded and grown tremendously in the last 15 years.
Thank you.
You can meet her; she can come, but she's very expensive.
Next year's audit, you might shoot me an email. I'll come by.
And I want to say thank you to you and your staff for correcting that minor mistake from last year, which was truly minor, and then having us modified this year. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion? The board approve the acceptance of audit report for fiscal year.
Yeah.
I need a motion though.
Huh?
I need a motion.
Still need a motion.
Mhm. Do I have a motion for the board to approve acceptance of audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Kelly, a second.
It was motioned by Clerk Wood, seconded by Vice President Kelly. The board approve acceptance of audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Roll call vote. Ms. Barnes.
President Kaminsky,
Aye.
Vice President Kelly,
Aye.
Clerk Wood,
Aye.
Trustee Cooper absent, Trustee Christensen,
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent, Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. Last item on new business, approval of declaring certain district property as surplus/obsolete at M&O, Maintenance and Operations. Any questions or comments from the board? I think it's a refrigerator. Do I have a motion for the board to approve declaring certain district property as surplus obsolete at maintenance and operations as presented?
Kelly, make the motion.
I'll second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Christensen. The board approve declaring certain district property as surplus obsolete at maintenance and operations. Roll call vote, Ms. Barnes.
President Kaminsky,
Aye.
Vice President Kelly,
Aye.
Clerk Wood,
Aye.
Trustee Cooper absent, Trustee Christensen,
Aye.
Trustee Napier absent, Trustee Sweeney.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. Future items. Does anybody on the board have a item they wish to bring up for either agenda or research by district staff? I do. This came up with Clerk Wood and a parent at Sipping with the Soup. And our discussion about band made me think, I wonder if we can use thank you, developer fees to build a band room at Tehachapi High School, a real band room, not a portable. And so I don't know where I intend to go to the next facilities. That's my voice in my head that you're hearing. And bring that up when any kind of performing arts building comes to fruition. If it does, it'll be a few years away at best. And I think for now, the way that program is growing, and if we need more money for their, or they need more money for their instrument replacement, but it would be really nice to see the program have a real band room. JMS has a real band room. TILA has a real band room. But the high school isn't a portable. And yes, I'm biased. I spent from third grade on through college graduation in band. Met my wife in band, and the current teacher, Molly Bolski, is doing an outstanding job. She was there last night. The crowd was, I didn't count, but our home fans might have been outnumbered by what I'm going to call the pep band. And they sounded great. We're into the game. Just doing an outstanding job there. And I'd just like to get that investigated. I'm pretty sure if we can build a sixth grade wing for $4 million, of course, that was 9 years ago, possibly build a band room with developer fees. But that's just my wish for that to be investigated. And of course, we have 6 other people on the board that would have to at least, I would want their opinions later as well.
It's my wish too.
Any other trustee, you don't have to make a comment now, but if you have one, go ahead.
As a member of the Facilities Advisory, bring that information. I think that's a discussion that we've had some recent discussions around facilities and improvements, and I think that would be a welcome piece of information.
Okay. And when's the next meeting?
Well, it was last week. They got canceled, but it's March 5th. I think
March 5th. Okay, that's right.
6 p.m.
Anyone else have any future item? With that, it is 6:22, and I'm sorry. It's time for public comments for closed session. There's one item. Come on, cursor. Public Employee Performance Evaluation, Government Code 54957, Subdivision B, 1, Title, Superintendent. Are there any public comments for that closed session item? Seeing none, we will not be reporting out. We reconvene. So at 6:22, we are adjourning for closed session.
We waited long enough. I mean, you guys got a plan, right? We'll vote on it, put it into action. Good to go. Yes, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just, yep. Oh, and it's got Apple. It's got the Apple connector, and then it's also got the other.
And if you have a banana, it has that. And if you have a quick food, it has that.
It is 7:24 and we are reconvened from closed session. There's no report out. However, let me go back and find the item. Under discussion information items, the first item, the letter to Senator Grove and Assemblyman Ellis. We voted to approve that, but I realized afterwards that there was a mistake in the letter. And I had Ms. Barnes retype it, and I want to state the mistake was totally mine. After the first set of tables, there was a sentence that read, Southern Kern and McFarland have more revenue than TUSD despite having smaller ADA, and Mojave nearly has the lowest revenue per ADA of the 8 districts. That last part was incorrect about Mojave, and so I had Ms. Barnes put a period after ADA and start a new sentence that reads, Mojave has slightly less revenue than TUSD despite having 1,352 fewer students. So I need a motion for to correct that, to approve this corrected letter with that change. Do I have a motion?
Kelly makes the motion for the corrected letter with the change.
Second.
It was motioned by Vice President Kelly, seconded by Trustee Christensen, to approve the letter with the corrected sentence. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, we are adjourned.